Hi there YouTube, XtremeTrainz here. So, back to looking at some Thomas Wood, and in front of me you can see the next Thomas Wood item that's going to be the subject of this video, and that's Thomas Wood Stanley. So, what are you waiting for? Let's do it. Now, as per always, front of the packaging, pretty boring. Back to the packaging is going to have some really weird character bio. Let's have a look at this one. See, again, it's still a bit weird. Stylish, smart, and charming. I mean, maybe, I guess. I don't know. To me, this is very weird. These bios are still kind of a bit whack. Not sure what's going on. There's Stanley there. Notice how that face looks there. I actually think this is one of the few times where the face on the digital model looks worse than the one it actually has in real life. But we can do that comparison when we get him out of the packaging. Which means, what are we waiting for? Let's get Stanley out of this box. Alright, so we'll just do the quick in-hand appraisal of Thomas Wood Stanley. Again, I'll just show you the bottom. There you go, Stanley's written there. Alright, so what are we looking at? Firstly, look at the face. I think this face looks better in real life than it does on the picture, on the back of the box, but I still think it's a little bit weird. Again, it's one of those things where I think the Thomas Wood and Railway one was much better, and they seem to have gone backwards with this face in the same way that there's just something that's not quite right about it, and I can't quite work out what it is. Yeah, so it's a passing face, but I've definitely seen better faces. Coming around, you can see he's got the grey, silvery kind of smoke box. Then he's got the white paint. Now, this is one of those models where the wood looks funny because, you know, white is very different to brown, and he's obviously not white because of the way Thomas Wood's designed, so I think it does look a little bit funny. That said, the details I've got there are actually quite nice. Like, they've got all the right stuff there. It's just a bit weird the way they've actually kind of, yeah, done it with Thomas Wood detailing. I do like they put his proper shape in there with the little bulging boiler kind of section. I think that's quite nice with the water tanks integrated there, especially because they've cut some corners with some of the shaping, so I'm glad to see they've actually kind of done that shaping work, which is nice. Otherwise, you know, everything else is kind of the same as your standard Thomas Wood. You have the black underneath here with the red, and nothing on the back. So, yep, that's kind of what Stanley looks like. Nothing super special to write home about. No defects on this model as far as I can tell, which is good. And you can see he's got the red wheels. Everything you'd expect from a Stanley model. Now, if you do a comparison to Thomas, they're pretty much the same size, which I would expect, considering that they're both 060 style engines that are very similar size in the new Thomas Wood. Again, it's slightly inaccurate. Stanley should be like a little bit bigger than Thomas, and I think maybe that's why his face looks funny. They've tried to artificially make him bigger by giving him a really big face, even though he actually has quite a small face. I think that's what it is. I think it's that they've given him a very big face, even though he actually has a smaller face. It's just not a round face. I think that's why he looks a little bit strange. But I still think he looks good up there next to Thomas. These two go quite well together and scale pretty well. You're going to run into the same problems you do with most of the tender engines of this line, which is to say that this comparison, however, is obviously wrong. Gordon is not anywhere near big enough compared next to Stanley's, especially because Stanley's got that big blocky kind of boiler area. He really does look quite large even compared to Gordon. But that's the same criticism I've had for the entire Thomas Wood line, so not really a surprise. Alright, that's most of the stuff I have to say about Stanley. I'd love to know your thoughts about him, whether you're going to pick him up, what do you think about this face particularly, I'd be curious to know, and also any reactions to Thomas Wood in general. There's some interesting developments going on in Australia because Toys R Us was the premium carrier of the Thomas Wood line, and as a lot of you probably know, Toys R Us in Australia is also closing next week, which is sad time, so I'm going to try and run in there and get some more discounted Thomas Wood if I can, but that means that some discount retailers in Australia have started picking up Thomas Wood, and its new prices are very, very interesting. So I'll be talking about those in a later video because I didn't get a discounted price on this item here, but I think it'd be really interesting to talk about. So that was a bit of a distraction. Make sure you do those cool things. You do on YouTube, like, subscribe, show your friends who are just as interested in trains as me, I'm sure. And yeah, thanks for watching. Let me know your thoughts. That's all we've got time for. This is XtremeTrainz.